And I'm very happy to see here the still raising to defend life and to defend the right to Palestine.
La libertad de Palestina es la libertad de todos nosotros.
Freedom of Palestine is the freedom of all of us.
Muchas gracias a todos y que continúe esta unidad para encontrar esa victoria que es la defensa de la vida y la libertad de Palestina. Muchas gracias.
Thank you to all of us here and to enforce.
Thank you so much. And now I'm going to ask immediately to hand over to João Daniel, who represents the federal branch in Brazil and represents President Lula's party and Campesina Brazil. You're welcome. Thank you.
Queria saudar com muito carinho todos os organizadores, todos os representantes de todos os países em nome da África do Sul e trazer o nosso abraço em nome da bancada federal do Partido dos Trabalhadores na Câmara Federal, a qual aqui represento, e também da luta do nosso querido presidente Lula.
I salute all of us, all the organizers, the representatives and the leaderships of all the countries, and I would like to bring a warm hug from the Workers' Party in Brazil and in name of our dear President Lula.
Nós que fazemos parte do Partido dos Trabalhadores do Brasil, e eu faço parte também da Via Campesina, do movimento sem terra, da luta dos camponeses do Brasil, aprendemos desde cedo que a luta pela libertação da Palestina é a luta mais justa já defendida na história da humanidade.
I also represent the workers without lands. That's why it's very important for us, and we keep in our understanding the fight for land in Palestine, above all, is very important.
Por isso nós queremos aqui dizer que o Brasil, nós estamos organizando comitês, estamos na luta a nível internacional e não podemos jamais deixar este tema da Palestina fora de qualquer atividade. A luta contra esse massacre, contra esse genocídio cometido por Israel, financiado pelos Estados Unidos, precisa ser acabado. Nós não podemos aceitar, nós não podemos permitir que nossos irmãos prisioneiros palestinos, que já completam alguns 40 anos, continuem com este massacre todos os dias.
In Brazil, we are organizing committees and international fronts to fight against the genocide and the massive murders that have been occurring in name of the United States and the State of Israel since 40 years.
Nosso total apoio à ação do governo da África do Sul. Estamos articulando para que a gente possa apoiar com o governo brasileiro, com todos os nossos parlamentares, pela condenação imediata do governo de Israel, para que nós possamos organizar essa grande frente a nível internacional.
We thank the South African government for enforcing, and we support with the whole government and parliamentarians in Brazil that have been working with the cause, the condemnation of those crimes and those who are perpetrating those crimes.
Os que massacram e cometem o genocídio contra Israel, os que financiam, são os mesmos que cometem o bloqueio em Cuba há 60 anos, são os mesmos que mantêm uma prisão criminosa contra Júlio Assange. Nós precisamos organizar essa luta da Palestina sempre como uma luta pela libertação, pela democracia da humanidade.
those who are financing and promoting the massacres in Palestine are the same ones that have been fighting against Cuba, that has been keeping Julian Assange in jail. And that's why it is very important for us to unite and create a new critical thinking and a new way of portraying the democracy world and the democratic world that we want.
E gostaria de, em caso de alguma moção de apoio aqui, que saísse além do nosso tema central, que é a questão da Palestina, que pudesse sair em apoio a Julian Assange.
And I would like to promote, if it is possible, a motion within the motions of what's happening in Palestine and the fight against it, a motion to also free Julian Assange.
Deixamos aqui o nosso compromisso, nosso abraço à qualidade mais importante dos homens e mulheres para o futuro da humanidade, é não aceitar as injustiças, é combater e lutar neste momento o mundo inteiro pela Palestina livre. Muito obrigado.
We thereby enforce that the freedom and the best character of women and men is to promote liberty, and that's why we are fighting with Palestine for their liberty too.
I want to say thank you to all our speakers for being really aware of time and honoring that as they stood up to honor the people of Palestine and as they stood up to pledge the solidarity of all the countries of the global south with the people of Palestine and the people, not the governments, of the global north with the people of Palestine. So I think I want to just raise one or two points that emerge from the speakers. And the one is that Israel's lie that this is a religious war. It is not a religious war when you look at who is cooperating with it. When Saudi Arabia, when India, when the United States, when Germany are its collaborators, it is not a religious war. It gives the lie to that. The first call that was made was to stop the normalization and to recognize also the nuclear power that Israel has and to use our collective power to ensure that they are held to account, that the UN investigates and demands disarmament. The point about the centrality of the Palestinian liberation movement in relation to the solidarity movement, the importance, and I want to quote Amilcar Cabral's, "Tell no lies, claim no easy victories, and we will build the strongest of movements." We share a common humanity. And the children who are being killed, it's not accidental that most of the children who are being killed, most of the people who are being killed are children. And the women who give them life, who protect that life, who sustain that life, who defend that life. Israel is conducting as a central part of its genocide what the Palestinian feminist Nadra Shahub-Kevorkian calls a reproductive genocide, the unchilding of Palestine. And that must inform our strategies of how we act. Palestine is all of us. And when Israel destroys the earth, it is not just in Gaza, it is the entire planet, because it is one earth and it is one humanity. I would like to, before I hand over to the convener to do the closing, I would like to reflect on an experience in South Africa in relation to international solidarity. And it was in 1985 when the apartheid state declared a state of emergency in which it detained, at the time, the largest numbers of children in the world. At that time, the UN International Conference on Women was being held. And the Western delegations, led by the American delegations, Maureen Reagan, daughter of President Reagan, went there with a specific instruction to ensure that the women gathered from across the world would not address the crime of apartheid in South Africa and in Palestine. And the women of the South at that conference united and ensured that the issue of apartheid in South Africa and in Palestine was put on the agenda. That we could not talk about the rights of women without talking about how this is connected to a military, industrial, political system that exists across the world that is exploiting and oppressing humanity and the earth. And so the truth is that they will not succeed. I want to reflect on a message that was given to a delegation that I was part of, an international solidarity mission to Iraq, shortly before the bombs fell in Iraq from the US and Britain. And one of the women who testified said to us, and she testified about the impact of the blockade and the economic sanctions in relation to healthcare, and about her son who was dying from leukemia, who died from leukemia. And she said at the end of her testimony, "I do not want your tears. Take my voice into the world. I want to hear the echo of what you do." That is the challenge to all of us today from this conference. And I would like to hand over to Comrade Frank Shikane, who the apartheid state tried to kill, and who is alive and well in here today, and who has convened all of us. Thank you to all the speakers, and we'll all leave the stage.
Thank you very much, Prex, and thank you. Before I hand over to Reverend Frank, just a few home management. All those who need to see Faria for transport, please, it's the last call. Make sure that you see her and make sure that so that we are sure you are not left alone without transport to the airport. The last one, it is important to note that lunch will be served just outside. It's a finger lunch. It will be a good one. It's a Sunday. It's a light lunch. As we go out, lunch will be served at 1 o'clock. What was the last one? Oh, and then the one big one, due to some circumstances that we were faced with, or some little bit of challenges that we were faced with, it has been decided that the union buildings will be cancelled, but we will end the closing session. It is now here, as Reverend Frank will be coming in. So we're no longer doing the union buildings. We are very, very sorry about that. It is a matter of making sure that everything is covered. So the union buildings will not be there anymore. What else? Over to you, Bob.
Good afternoon. I am pleased that I'm going to make these closing remarks whilst the room is full. You know, in many conferences, by the time you end with half the room. And I think we must give ourselves a big hand. And those who had to leave earlier, it's because of flights that there are people who had to be in flights this afternoon and left. So before I do what I'm here to do, I will first ask that, everybody can come in, and then I've asked the volunteers who made this conference to happen to be close by so that we can call on them to see them. And then I have a note. As we planned this conference, we had a group of comrades who really wanted to focus on children in Gaza and the West Bank. Their heart is on children, to say, what do we do with children? And they gave me a note to ask for volunteers. Now, I'm sure they want volunteers to come and join them at the right time to be able to do that. So I'm going to just read the note. The organizing committee of the International Solidarity Standing Conference with Palestinian Children 2024. It's calling for volunteers for its conference subcommittees. They want to do work on children. We are looking for dynamic, creative, resourceful, and disciplined activists who will work as part of a large team to bring successful conference, including pre-conference mobilization and ensuring a long-term continuation of conference goals. This will be an activist solidarity conference with a focus on Palestinian children wherever they are, Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and the 48 areas, as well as refugee camps in the region and the diaspora. We intend to contribute to this global AAM's aims of building the international solidarity movement by giving voice to Palestinian children as self-resilient and active in the face of occupation, war, displacement, placing infanticide and eradication of identity of Palestinian children as a core component of genocide. To volunteer, please complete, they've got that information there. So I'm just doing my task as commanded by those who focus on children. Now, I expected Faisal Randera, I can see you are busy. I'm waiting for Faisal Randera to listen to me. I've expected that the declaration, final declaration, will be but that's not me who's going to read it. Can we have to tab it? Or Rashad is ready. Please come and do I can't close the conference before you do the declaration.
Amandla. Comrades, thank you for all your hard work. I think all the inputs we have tried as best as possible to either include in the declaration or, where appropriate, they will feature in the plan of action. So I'd like to call on Retabile to read the final declaration, the Johannesburg Declaration. I call on Naim to bring the laptop with the final declaration on it so that I can call on Retabile to read the final declaration. Comrade Naim, is he in the room? We need... In the meanwhile... Does anyone here want to have a song? Give a song? A poem? Or something else? Yes, please do.
Okay. If you are expecting a song, I will disappoint you, so I'm sorry. But just a few words. I was honored to be with you in this conference, and I want to say on behalf of the Palestinian people how much we appreciate every man, woman, every participant today in this conference for all the great work you are doing worldwide, everywhere, for the support of Palestine. Your work and support means a lot to the Palestinian people, and it will be remembered as a great power that helped the Palestinian people achieve freedom, achieve the end of this terrible genocide, and achieve the end of justice. And one more time, I promise you, we will never give up, we will not break till we achieve the freedom we want, till Palestinians are free from the river to the sea. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rotabile Ratsomo, a proud member of the Secretariat, as well as the Anti-Racism Program Manager at the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Thank you so much for the honor of being able to read the declaration. Reading it from the screen. So the Johannesburg Declaration on Israel's settler-colonialism, apartheid and genocide towards the global anti-apartheid movement for Palestine. Israel has destroyed, compensation and reparations. We will not rest until the end of the ongoing Nakba and until Palestine is liberated. We will use all strategies and tactics to work towards our goal, including working for the total isolation of the Israeli apartheid state, as was done by the Anti-Apartheid movement against the South African apartheid state, using boycotts, divestments, and sanctions campaigns and other strategies in our plan of action. We call for the immediate release of all Palestinian political prisoners, detainees and hostages, and demand an end to arbitrary arrest, administrative detention, abductions, and torture of prisoners. We salute governments that have shown their commitment to confront Israeli injustices and oppose colonialism and apartheid, and act in line with their moral as members of the international community. We condemn governments that have enabled or be complicit with the Zionist project, which are lawful to Biden remain complicit even as Israel perpetrates a genocide and violates international law with impunity. Israel's assault is on human values of rights, justice, equality, and fairness. It entrenches racism and violent repression and threatens humanity with immediate devastation. Standing with the Palestinian people who stand with humanity, justice, and equality. We stand against all forms of racism, anti-Palestinian racism, anti-black racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia. Our plan of action makes us unfolding and growth of the global anti-apartheid movement. We are determined to urgently work until the complete liberation of the Palestinian people. In this first global anti-apartheid conference for Palestinians, we have initiated a process to build on widespread mobilization across the world over decades, to escalate Palestinian solidarity and build the anti-apartheid movement, including that at the World Conference Against Racism in New York in 2001, and the 2005 Palestinian Civil Society call for boycotts, divestments, sanctions against Israel. We call on all solidarity movements across the globe to join the statement of building a global anti-apartheid movement, which will stand with all the oppressed and exploited people. We are committed to isolate apartheid Israel by intensifying consumer, academic, sports, arts, and cultural boycotts, and escalating the campaign for economic and financial sanctions. We will prioritize blocking its shipping routes, campaigning for an arms embargo against Israel, targeting those supporting, funding, supplying weapons to and joining the Israeli occupation forces, and expelling Israel from international sporting, cultural, and academic bodies. Just as the global anti-apartheid movement did not make concessions to the apartheid South African state until the complete dismantling of the apartheid system, we too refuse to concede until the total dismantling of Israel's Settler-Colonialism project. To that we are committed, and we shall not stop until our purpose is fulfilled. Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. Amandla! Power to the people!
Thank you to Retabile for a beautiful reading of our declaration, and thanks to everyone here for the powerful inputs that the drafting team managed to craft into, I think we all agree, a significant document and one that we're going to go forward and mobilize with. My last duty is to call upon Comrade Reverend Frank Chikane to close the first Global Anti-Apartheid Conference.
Comrades, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I can see that we have got everybody in the room, and I hope all the volunteers who made us to be, helped us to be where we are today. I will thank them at the right time. And I just want to thank Mr. Mustafa Barghouti for thanking us, because without being invited to do so, because we couldn't ask you to thank us. I mean, how would we have done that? So he's now done it. Let's give him a big hand. We can't say, please come and thank us, you know. I would like to end this conference and say to you that I am pleased we have come to the end. You know, I learned that when you learn flying a plane, they tell you the most dangerous moments is take-off and landing. And when we took off on Friday, we could feel that we really running on the ground and took off, and the wind carried us through. And yesterday we were flying, so we didn't feel any shaking. And then as you try to land, then of course the trouble again starts. You can feel the shaking, and I'm happy that we are landing today. Let's give ourselves a big hand. And would like to thank, I must start thanking people. Firstly, thank former President Mbeki for honoring us with his presence on Friday. It doesn't, we are a strange country where we have got continuity between civil society, government, former presidents, etc. I think that generation, I'm not sure how long it will last, but it is actually a very critical way of expressing solidarity. So we don't take it lightly for a former president to come and stay with us here for a conference like this. We also want to thank the minister, Naledi Pandor, who was taken out of the election campaign. By the way, even former President Mbeki had to be released from the election campaign. It's a huge campaign out there. That's why we're not going to the union buildings, because they are not there. They are in the field. So we didn't want to go and welcome ourselves there, the union buildings. And so would like to thank Minister Yvonne Dausap from Namibia. We really appreciate it, especially because you came to represent the president of Namibia in our solidarity together. I know that you are dealing with the same struggle, genocide. We were together in the trenches, and we will continue together as we rebuild our countries. And I would like to thank the former Prime Minister. I wished we had more time, but we really appreciate that you took the trouble to fly from Turkey to come to a civil society conference. Let's give him a big hand. And then Fernando Huanakuni Mamani, if I mess up the surname, forgive me. Former Foreign Minister of Bolivia, who spoke on behalf of the former president. I think we should give him a big hand, and that the former president felt it was important to be represented here. And then, of course, we've got Oscar Monteiro, Minister of State State Administration of Mozambique. It's our neighbor again. Would like to thank you for coming to be with us. All our neighbors paid a huge price for our freedom. They used to be bombed like, Mozambique in particular, Botswana, Lesotho, they were real targets because our brothers and sisters were refugees there. Would like to thank you. And then I would like to thank Mr. Declan Kenny. You know, I had a discussion with him yesterday. Let's give him a big hand. There's something common between South Africa, Ireland, and us. You know, he's where he is. I used to say in the past, there are 3 places where they've got intractable problems and wars which have gone forever and ever. And now we are free, they are free. The last one is Palestine. And we're going to have to deal with it. I am told here that we have got Emanyerere. I think we're not going to let you go away without noticing you. It's the daughter of President Mwalimi Julius Nyerere. You know, Julia, there she is. Ma'am, thank you very much. President Nyerere was one of those progressive presidents who received the first sets of refugees, and when they were hit in South Africa, I would like to thank you. I would like to thank all the speakers. I can't mention all of them. You know, we had a lot of input here. But you go into history, please give us the text. The contributions were extraordinary. And those who participated from the floor, and all the participants in this conference. I introduced the steering committee. I'm not sure they are in the room. They were not in the room last time. Are you here as a steering committee in the room? Those who are steering committee, can you just stand up? If you are standing, raise up your hand. Please stand up. Please stand up. Those who can stand, please don't hesitate, just stand. Faisal Randera, please just stand. And Mohammed Dengo, please stand. You know, they are humble people who don't want to be recognized. Let's give them. Are you standing, Dudu, or you are? Yeah, raise up your hand. Okay. Naeem, you are not raising up your hand. Please raise up your hand. So I just want to say thank you. All of them are volunteers. They gave their time for nothing except this cause, and would really want to thank them for making this happen. And the management committee, it was myself and Randera, doctor, you don't mind standing. I mean, the doctor must exercise. And Reverend Edwin, yourself, you just stand, and Reverend Edwin, the 3 of us were the troubleshooters. And for all the troubles that came, the 3 had to make sure that we deal with all the problems. And then Roshan, where are you? Where's Roshan? Please come to me. We captured Roshan from BDS. She was doing work for BDS, and we captured her and deployed her in this project. And so she was the head, and she's still head of the secretariat until you have cleared up everything. And I would like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. She really commanded the secretariat, and would like to thank you very much. Can I see the volunteers? There was none other than Roshan we stole from BDS. There was nobody who was full time in this conference preparation. accept volunteers. I would like you to come in front so people can see you. I know you don't want to be seen. Please just come quickly so that we can recognize you. They are not all here because they are deployed in different places. Where is Retabile? Is Retabile here? Come. Retabile. Yeah, come. Yeah. It's okay. I just wanted you to be here. I really want to thank them. We can take our stand whilst the conference take their seats. We can take our seats except the volunteers. They are not all here, and they were deployed in different places. None of them did this for a cent, not $1. And they spend all the time to make sure this conference succeed. And let's give them a big hand today. I won't embarrass others, but you know, there is a family where there is the grandfather, the mother, and the daughter and the granddaughter in the same team. And they were missing one night because they were working during the night here. And we really want to thank you very much. Let's give them a big hand. You can take your seat. Okay, thank you very much. You can take your seats or return to your deployment, place of deployment. I can bring the VOC, you know, the safety and security team, and they are related, you know, people, and I won't detail them because they do the job at the background. But I really would like to thank them. The government recognized that we needed to be taken care of, and they did a good job to make sure we are where we are. Let's give them a big hand for that. I have been advised that I missed Joao Daniel, who represented the president of Brazil. Yes. I'm sorry that I missed the name, and they made me make sure I recognize you. Brazil, it's our partner in the struggle, and they continue to be so. And would like to thank you. Please convey our thanks to the president. I met him a number of times when we were in government, and please thank him for this. I have heard, and I'm concluding, I've heard many voices from this conference. People who reflected on the conference from day one to today. Talking about the impact of the conference, the people who are here. And I just want to say, you are here because members of the steering committee and the patrons, whom I didn't recognize today, I think I didn't see any. If the patrons, or you are patron as well, you can stand up again. Are there patrons here who are still here? Eleanor, No. Patrons, Eleanor is there. Yeah, Abdul Minty, Ronnie. Ronnie is here. Who else is here? These are our veterans. These are our veterans, and would like to thank you very much. But I've heard voices in this conference as I walk in the corridors, and we did some work to get you in this room. And the way we did it, and I'll give an example. If you are the South African Council of Churches, we said to them, give us people who should be here. Recommend them, because it's per invitation. You can't just arrive here on your own. And we then said, give us your international partners you think they should be here. And we took the Palestine solidarity groups to do the same. And we went through all the faith groups, the academics, etc. And that's how you ended up in this room. And we wanted to make sure it's representative across the continents. I promised to give you the list of the countries. I didn't give you the list of the countries. You will be amazed, the number of countries that are here. And would like to really thank you, because this was the wealth of knowledge we wanted to bring to this room, to work on strategies together, to say, what are we going to do to get Palestine free? But when you do that, you end up with lots of people who I wouldn't know. I hope you understand me. You get lots of people who are recommended and they arrive here and we assume we are okay. And so would like to thank you greatly. How many minutes? Or what is couple of minutes? Yeah, 10 minutes for the shuttle. I think I will be done. So there are people who have to go to the airport, but 10 minutes should be okay. And I would like to say I've heard the voices. There's a journalist, South African journalist, who talked to me yesterday. I won't tell you about the South African gossip because he's South African. He was gossiping. But he told me about the impact of this conference, because media can monitor it in terms of impact internationally, in the Middle East, everywhere, and social media, which had enormous impact. And indeed, as you have an impact like that, you get also troubling reports. You must. If we are supporting Palestine against Zionists, you expect a huge response. And indeed, the huge response came. There are reports all over. And when you read them too much, you could get depressed, actually. But you have to read them to know what they are saying so that you know what you are doing. This reminded me I didn't want to read a scripture, but I did it as I was sitting there. It reminded me of the Jesus sending his disciples out 2 by 2 to the world, the towns and etc., to say, go and do this, which we are going to do. We're going to send everybody to their countries to go and do what they are supposed to do. When they return these guys, they give a report. I like reporting. They say, we cast demons and they got out in your name, and they told him all the stories and the extraordinary things they did. And then he said, when he responded to them, he said, I saw Satan fall like a lightning from heaven as you were doing that. And so when we go out here to go and do what we are supposed to do, we must understand that there will be lightning and there will be trouble. And we need to deal with the trouble as it comes. And I won't go into details. So I would like to in the light of these reports and other things, to say a few things I said at the beginning. And I'm saying it so that people who are here can know we take responsibility for this conference as the steering committee. That it is a civil society conference, and that no Palestinian political party or faction was invited to the conference. And none of them were asked to speak. I'm repeating it. I hope I'm being recorded. You can use me. I am saying it. And that there is one of the report that even has somebody who spoke here who was never here. You know what I'm talking about? It's somebody, they even report there are lots of lies about it. So I just want to say, we made sure this is a conference of civil society. Secondly, I would like to state clearly that all the speakers at this conference presented their own views. When you invite speakers, they present their own views. But it doesn't mean that we agree with all the views. And it doesn't mean that we take responsibility for all the views. And they have expressed their views. We use the wealth of information, but not everything. And no one should make these views those of the conference. I think it's important, and those of the participants. So no participant must take responsibility for what other people said. But I'll tell you a story that in my treason trial in the mid-80s, most of the pages about the indictment against me was the things people said in your presence, and you did not dissociate yourself. And you know, in the rallies and struggle, people say a lot of stuff. And then, but because you didn't dissociate yourself, it means you are guilty. And I'm happy that we had a very good lawyer who made sure the trial doesn't start until it collapsed for 1 year. And we got out of it. But I understand in terms of responsibility for not dissociating. So I want to make a statement of dissociating you on your behalf. We can't have all of you saying I'm dissociating myself against this and the other. I'm saying it on your behalf. And nobody must accuse you for anything that has been said at this conference. As the participants of this conference, we cannot take responsibility either. The responsibilities for the declaration. All of us here are responsible for the declaration, and that's the declaration we are going to use. Third is that our communications team, our advice, will ensure that false reports are denied. If you don't deny it, it becomes truth. But I know they won't report it. I mean, the Jewish report here, there's a Jewish report in South Africa. They attack me. When I respond, they don't publish my response. So I wrote them a note to say, guys, you'll invite me one day when you want to report what I say, but I know that I don't agree with what you are doing. And so, but even if they don't report, we need to make sure that we denounce falsehood. Lastly, that on this journey we are embarking on to a free Palestine, we need to respect each other. I talked with some of the delegates yesterday in terms of our views and perspectives. I'm not a pacifist. I'd always declare that I'm not a pacifist, but I respect pacifists. And they have a huge contribution to make as pacifists. I defend myself if you try to take me on. But there are also rules of defending yourself. And others go for war. I can tell you now, I hate war. I've seen too much of it. I've seen the brutality. I would not support war. But if it happens, there are rules as well of doing that. And so we should respect each other. as we go into the future as a movement, when we're dealing with the problem in Zimbabwe, the church used to say to me, no, but you are selling out now because I was a mediator. So I said to them, others pray who don't go and fight. Just pray for us. Others mediate, others go to the street and protest. So those who go to the street don't condemn the others because they've got a role to play. And so I would like to say that we need to respect each other and make sure that everybody makes a contribution. I'm told that the regional workshops yesterday got a note that said, where do we go from here? You'll remember if you were in the workshop, of course, if you left and were not in the workshops, you wouldn't know. We're trying to make sure to say, where do we go? We knew that this is consultative. We can't finalize how and where. So the view was, and I just want to repeat it so that you know where we are going, that the people who are here return home and in their region mobilize. If it's North America, you mobilize. On the African continent, Middle East, you mobilize using the declaration, and then you will then indicate how you think we should work together to make sure that we achieve we don't want to prescribe. Some people are not here yet. We want them to come on board. And once we've done that, we are imagining, this is a vision, a representative steering committee that is global, not South African. Now it's South African because we're taking responsibility for the conference. We want a global responsibility. But you need to go back home, consult, indicate to us what you would want us to do. We asked the workshops because we said we can impose ourselves and say, hey, we're going to continue as a steering committee. We were here to facilitate. We will be here to assist, to make sure that whatever you decide on is implemented. And at the end, we'll have this movement that we are talking about, which we hope that it will be launched at one stage or another. We don't want to prescribe. And so we want you to go back home, consult, feedback to us. And once we have got a global steering committee, we cease to exist. That's the South African team. If I've not phrased it properly, just fix it, because I'm not a dictator. I don't prescribe. I'm saying what I was told was the position. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. And so I would like at this stage to thank everybody. You can see the media is invading us. They were told they should be here at 1 o'clock to do the press media conference. And that's the time when I finish. So I would like to then declare this conference closed and thank all.